Hey there, and welcome back to Chronicle Keepers, where history whispers its secrets into the night. I'm glad you're here. Tonight, we're diving into something a little different. We're stepping into the worn leather boots of a medieval merchant. Now you might be thinking, a merchant? That sounds better than being a peasant. And you'd be right, it is better. But that's not saying much. Forget the romantic notion of bustling market squares and honest trade. The reality? You're one bad deal away from debtors' prison, one false accusation from the gallows, and one plague outbreak from losing everything you've ever worked for. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video if you genuinely enjoy what we do here. Subscribe only if you want more of these journeys through time. And drop a comment, letting me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. I always find it fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan, for that soft background hum. Get comfortable. Let's ease into tonight's journey together. Congratulations. You've just woken up in the year 1347. You're a cloth merchant in a bustling English market town. You have a shop, a home, and more money than most people will ever see. You also have fleas, debt, and enemies. Let's see how long you last. The church bell shatters whatever thin sleep you manage to get. It's not gentle, it's not merciful, it's the medieval alarm clock, and it doesn't have a snooze button. You blink awake in your timber-framed house, built above your shop in the heart of town. The room is dark, barely touched by the grey pre-dawn light filtering through the wooden shutters. And yes, wooden shutters, because glass windows are for cathedrals and castles. You're wealthy by medieval standards, but you're not that wealthy. Your bed is actually a bed, which already puts you leagues above the peasants, rotting in their straw-filled hovels outside town. You've got a proper wooden frame, a mattress stuffed with feathers, wool blankets, and even linen sheets. It sounds luxurious until you remember that the mattress is also stuffed with the accumulated dead skin, sweat, and body oils of everyone who's slept in it for the past 5 years. Oh, and the bugs. You've got fleas, bedbugs, and possibly lice making a home in those feathers. They don't pay rent, but they certainly make their presence known. You wake up itching, and you'll go to bed itching. That's just life. Your room is one of 3 in your house, 3 rooms. That makes you practically a lord in the eyes of the unwashed masses. The ground floor is your shop, where you sell cloth, wool, and whatever imported goods you've managed to acquire without being robbed on the road. The second floor, where you sleep, is divided into 2 spaces. This main chamber and a smaller room where your apprentices and servants sleep. Privacy? Forget it. Your wife is beside you. Your 2 children are in the corner on their own smaller bed, and through the thin wooden wall you can hear your apprentice snoring like a diseased goat. The walls are timber and plaster, patched in places where the rain has gotten through. Because yes, your roof leaks. Not as badly as a peasant's thatch roof, but it leaks nonetheless. You've got wooden shingles, which are better, but medieval craftsmanship isn't exactly watertight. Last night's rain left a damp patch near the corner, and you make a mental note to get it fixed. Again. The floor is wooden planks, not dirt like the peasants endure, but they creak with every movement. In winter, cold air whistles up through the gaps. In summer, the heat turns the room into an oven. There's no insulation. There's no central heating. There's just a small brazier in the corner that you light when it's cold enough to see your breath indoors, which is most of the year. You sit up, and your back cracks. You're 32 years old, which in medieval terms makes you middle-aged. Your spine sounds like a tree branch snapping. Your knees protest as you swing your legs out of bed, and your feet, bare and cold, hit the wooden floor with a slap that sends a shiver up your legs. The smell hits you next. It's a symphony of medieval stench, smoke from last night's fire still lingering in the air. Unwashed bodies, yours included, because bathing is a rare and risky affair. The faint odor of the chamber pot in the corner, which needs emptying, and from the street below, the unmistakable scent of horse dung, human waste, and rotting garbage. You glance around the room. There's a wooden chest at the foot of the bed, where you keep your better clothes and a small amount of coin, locked with an iron padlock. A simple table and 2 chairs sit near the window. A crucifix hangs on the wall, because showing piety is good for business. And in the corner, a small shelf holds a few pewter plates, wooden bowls, and a single brass candlestick, one of your prized possessions. Your wife stirs beside you, pulling the blanket tighter. She'll be up soon to start the fire, prepare breakfast, and begin the endless cycle of work that defines medieval life. Your children, ages 8 and 10, will help. Everyone works. There's no childhood as we know it. By 8, you're learning the trade. By 12, you're working like an adult. Through the wall, you hear your apprentice finally waking up. He's 15, the son of another merchant, sent to you to learn the cloth trade. He sleeps in the smaller room with your servant girl, a 12-year-old orphan you took in, partly out of charity, mostly because you needed cheap labor. The house groans and settles around you. Timber frames expand and contract with temperature. Mice scurry in the walls. Somewhere below, in your shop, you hear a faint scratching. Rats, probably. You'll have to set traps later. You stretch, or try to. Your joints ache. Your teeth ache. Your head aches from the weak ale you drank last night. The only safe thing to drink, because the town well tastes like a horse died in it. Congratulations. You're richer than 80% of the population. You have a house with 3 rooms, a bed with feathers, and a shop that sometimes makes a profit. You also have fleas, rats, chronic pain, and a very full chamber pot that needs emptying. Welcome to morning as a medieval merchant. It only gets worse from here. So, you've managed to pry yourself out of your flea-infested bed. Your back hurts, your head hurts, and you're pretty sure that rash on your arm is getting worse. But before you can face the day, nature calls. And it's not calling politely. In the corner of your room sits a ceramic chamber pot. It's better than the wooden bucket the peasants use, and certainly better than squatting in the street like an animal. But better is relative. The pot is full from last night's use, yours and your wife's, and it's your job to empty it. You carry it carefully down the narrow wooden stairs, trying not to slosh the contents onto your feet. The stairs creak ominously under your weight. One of these days, they're going to collapse, and you'll tumble down with a pot of piss and break your neck. But not today. Out the back door, you head to the small courtyard behind your house. If you're lucky, you have a cesspit dug into the ground, lined with stones, where waste slowly seeps into the earth and hopefully doesn't contaminate your neighbor's well. If you're unlucky, you just dump it into the street like everyone else and hope the rain washes it away. Today, you dump it into the cesspit. The smell rising from the pit is biblical. It's a concentrated essence of every meal, every illness, every bodily function your household has produced for months. You hold your breath, pour quickly, and retreat. Some wealthier merchants have a garderobe, a small room that juts out from the side of the house with a hole in the floor that drops waste directly into a pit below, or even into the river if you're near one. It's medieval indoor plumbing, and it's about as pleasant as it sounds. the smell wafts back up through the hole. In winter, the draft freezing your backside is brutal, and there's always the risk of rats climbing up through the chute. Public latrines exist in town, communal outhouses where you sit shoulder to shoulder with strangers, conducting your business while discussing the weather or the price of wool. Privacy is a luxury no one can afford. The smell is overwhelming. Ventilation is non-existent, and the waste pit below is a cesspool of disease waiting to happen. But at least there's no risk of falling into the river while balanced over a hole in your house. Toilet paper? Never heard of it. You wipe with whatever's available. Moss, if you can find it. Straw, which is scratchy and ineffective. Old rags, which you rinse and reuse because fabric is expensive. Or, if you're feeling particularly desperate, your hand, which you then rinse in a bucket of cold water. Hygiene is a concept, not a practice. Back inside, you approach the wash basin, a wooden bowl filled with cold water. If you're feeling indulgent, you might heat some water over the fire, but that takes time and firewood, both of which cost money, so cold water it is. You splash your face, scrub your hands, maybe run wet fingers through your hair. This is your morning wash. This is as clean as you're going to get until tonight, and probably not even then. Full baths are rare. Maybe a few times a year, if that. There's a lingering belief, courtesy of medieval medicine, that bathing opens your pores and lets disease in. Water, after all, is how illness spreads, or so the thinking goes. So you avoid it. When you do bathe, it's a production. You heat water over the fire, fill a wooden tub, and sit in lukewarm, murky water while your skin prunes and your family waits their turn. Everyone uses the same water. By the time the last person bathes, the water is grey and filthy, but at least everyone got wet. Soap exists. Harsh lye soap, made from animal fat and ash. It strips your skin, leaves your hair dry and brittle, and smells faintly of rancid meat. You use it sparingly. Your teeth are another matter entirely. There's no toothbrush, no toothpaste, no dentist. You might chew on a twig to dislodge food. You might rinse your mouth with wine or vinegar, which burns but feels like it's doing something. Mostly, you just accept that your teeth are rotting. By 30, you've got cavities. By 40, you're missing teeth. The ones that remain are stained, broken, and painful. Toothaches are a constant companion, a dull throb that never quite goes away. And if it gets bad enough, you'll visit the barber-surgeon, who will yank the tooth out with pliers while you scream and bleed and pray you don't die of infection. But you can't worry about that now. You've got to get dressed. As a merchant, appearances matter. Your clothing is a billboard, advertising your success. If you look poor, people won't trust you with their money. If you look too rich, they'll assume you're cheating them. It's a delicate balance. You start with a linen undershirt, long-sleeved and reaching to your knees. It's the only layer between your skin and the scratchy wool you're about to put on. Linen is breathable, absorbs sweat, and can be washed, though washed is a generous term, more like rinsed in cold water and hung to dry. Over that goes a wool tunic, dyed a respectable brown or dark blue. Bright colors are expensive, reserved for the nobility and the very wealthy. Your tunic is well made, tailored to fit, and free of patches. It's a step above the peasant's shapeless sack, but it's still wool, scratchy, heavy, and suffocatingly hot in summer. Then come the hose, medieval tights that cover your legs and attach to your bras, a kind of linen undergarment that functions as medieval underwear. The hose are wool, snug, and prone to sagging if not tied correctly. You tie them to your belt with laces, hoping they don't come undone during the day. A leather belt cinches your tunic at the waist. Attached to it is a small leather purse, where you keep a few coins for the day's transactions. Never all your money. That's hidden in your locked chest upstairs, or buried in the wall, or sewn into the lining of your cloak. Trust no one. Your shoes are leather, cobbled by hand, and far better than the peasant's bare feet or rotting scraps of hide. But they're not comfortable. No arch support, no cushioning, just stiff leather shaped vaguely like a foot. They'll rub blisters by midday, but that's the price of looking respectable. In cold weather, you add a woolen cloak, fastened at the shoulder with a brass pin. If you're doing well, the cloak might be lined with fur, rabbit or squirrel, something to show you're a man of means. If not, it's just extra wool, heavy and damp when it rains. You glance at yourself in the small, polished metal mirror hanging on the wall. It's not a clear reflection, more of a vague, distorted suggestion of your face. But it's enough to check that you look presentable. Your hair is trimmed, more or less. Your beard, if you wear one, is neat. Your clothes are cleanish, or at least not visibly filthy. You look like a man who has money. That's the goal. But underneath the respectable exterior, you itch. Your skin crawls with lice. Your armpits are damp with sweat. Your breath smells like death. And no amount of fine wool can hide the fact that you stink. Everyone stinks. Nobles, merchants, peasants, priests. It's the great equalizer of medieval life. You adjust your belt, check that your purse is secure, and head for the door. Time to face the day. But first, breakfast. Because even merchants need fuel, and you're about to eat something that might kill you. You descend the creaking stairs into the main room of your house, which doubles as a kitchen and general living space. Your wife is already awake, poking at the embers in the hearth, coaxing them back to life. Fire is precious. You never let it go out completely if you can help it, because starting a new one with flint and steel is a tedious, frustrating process. The room smells like smoke. Everything smells like smoke. Your clothes, your hair, your lungs. There's no chimney, just a hole in the roof that lets some of the smoke escape. The rest lingers, stinging your eyes and coating every surface with a fine layer of soot. Your wife sets a wooden bowl in front of you. Breakfast? Let's see what we're working with today. Bread. Of course, bread. It's the foundation of every medieval meal. The edible plate. The cheap filler that keeps you from starving. But as a merchant, you don't eat the coarse, dark peasant bread made from rye, barley, and whatever seeds and chaff got mixed in during milling. No, you eat white bread, made from wheat flour. Soft and light and expensive. It's a status symbol. Peasants look at your white bread and know you've got money. But here's the thing. Even white bread goes stale within a day. The loaf in front of you was baked yesterday, and it's already hard enough to chip a tooth. You tear off a chunk and dunk it in your bowl of pottage to soften it. Pottage, the medieval breakfast of champions. It's a thick, gloopy stew made from oats, barley, and whatever vegetables your wife could scrounge up. Today, it's got onions, leeks, and maybe some peas. It's been simmering in the same pot for 2 days. New ingredients added on top of the old, creating a murky, beige sludge that tastes like boiled sadness. But it's warm. It's filling. And it probably won't kill you. Probably. Next to your bowl is a small piece of cheese, hard and crumbly, made from cow's milk and aged just long enough to not be actively dangerous. Cheese is a way to preserve milk, which spoils in hours, into something that lasts weeks or months. The taste is sharp, salty, and vaguely rancid. but you've been eating it your whole life. You don't know any better. There's also a smear of butter on your bread if you're lucky. Butter is a luxury, creamy and rich when fresh, but it goes rancid quickly. In summer, it melts into a greasy puddle. In winter, it's rock hard. Today, it's somewhere in between, slightly off in flavor, but still edible. And to drink? Ale. Weak ale, low in alcohol, but high in survival. You pour it from a ceramic jug into a wooden cup and take a long sip. It's flat, slightly sour, and tastes like wet grain, but it's safer than water. The town well is a breeding ground for disease. Cholera, dysentery, typhoid, all the medieval hits. Boiling water for ale kills most of the nasty stuff, so everyone drinks it. Men, women, children. You start your day with ale and end it with ale, and in between, you drink more ale. Your children shuffle to the table, rubbing sleep from their eyes. They get smaller portions, a hunk of dark bread, a scoop of pottage, a splash of ale. They eat quickly and silently because talking during meals wastes time, and time is money. Your apprentice joins you, gangly and awkward, his face still puffy from sleep. He gets the same as the children. He's here to learn, not to feast. You eat in silence, chewing the hard bread, spooning the bland pottage, washing it down with sour ale. It's not satisfying, it's not delicious, it just is. But as a merchant, you do have advantages. On good days, you might have eggs if your chickens are laying. Fresh eggs, boiled or fried in a pan over the fire, are a rare treat, or perhaps a bit of bacon, salted and smoked to preserve it, sliced thin and fried until crispy. The salt content is so high, it makes your tongue shrivel. But it's protein, and protein is valuable. On feast days, holy days, or when business is particularly good, you might even have fresh fish. It's Friday, a day of fasting, which means no meat. The church is very clear about that. But fish is allowed, so you buy a salted herring or a dried cod from the fishmonger. It's been preserved for weeks, possibly months, and tastes like the ocean's revenge, but it's what you've got. Fruit is seasonal and fleeting. In late summer, you might get apples, pears, or plums. You eat them fresh. Preserve them in honey if you can afford it, or dry them for winter. But fresh fruit is a luxury, and by midwinter, it's a distant memory. Vegetables are more common. Onions, leeks, cabbages, turnips, carrots. Root vegetables that store well and survive the cold. They're boiled into pottage, roasted over the fire, or eaten raw if you're desperate. Spices exist, but they're breathtakingly expensive. Pepper, cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg. These are the treasures of the East, brought by ship and caravan at great cost. As a merchant, you might trade in spices, but using them yourself is another matter. A pinch of pepper costs more than a day's wages for a laborer. So your food is bland, seasoned only with salt, if you can get it, and maybe some local herbs like thyme or sage. Honey is the only sweetener, and it's expensive. Sugar exists, imported from the Middle East, but it's so costly that only the very wealthy can afford it. You've tasted it once at a guild feast, and it was a revelation. But for everyday life, sweetness comes from honey, or not at all. Now let's talk about food safety, or rather, the complete lack of it. Everything spoils, fast. There's no refrigeration, no preservatives beyond salt, smoke, and prayer. Meat goes bad within a day in summer. Milk curls in hours. Bread molds. Vegetables rot. And when food starts to turn, you don't throw it away. You can't afford to. You cut off the moldy bits and eat the rest. Salted meat, the kind you store for weeks, is so salty it's nearly inedible. You soak it in water to draw out some of the salt, but it still tastes like the ocean floor. and even then, it might be spoiled. The salt only slows decay. It doesn't stop it. Then there's ergot, a fungus that grows on rye, especially in damp conditions. If you eat bread made from infected grain, you're in for a wild ride. Convulsions, hallucinations, gangrene, death. It's called St. Anthony's fire, and it strikes without warning. One day, you're fine. The next, you're writhing on the floor, seeing demons, your fingers and toes turning black as the blood flow stops. Even your ale can be contaminated. Bad barley, dirty water, improper brewing. One bad batch, and you're doubled over with stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. Every meal is a gamble. Will this bread make you sick? Is this cheese too far gone? Has this meat started to rot? You eat anyway because the alternative is starving. As a merchant, you eat better than peasants. You have white bread, cheese, occasional meat, and ale that's relatively safe. But you're still one bad meal away from food poisoning, one moldy loaf away from ergot poisoning, one rancid piece of butter away from a very unpleasant day. You finish your pottage, drain your ale, and wipe your mouth on your sleeve. Your stomach is full, if not satisfied. Your breath smells like onions and sour grain. Your teeth ache from chewing stale bread. Time to head to the shop. The market is already stirring, and if you're not there when the customers arrive, someone else will take your business. You stand, adjust your belt, and head for the door. Another day, another gamble. Let's hope you make it to nightfall. The sun is barely up, and the town is already alive with noise. Wooden cartwheels clatter over cobblestones. Chickens squawk, dogs bark. Someone's shouting about fresh bread. Someone else is arguing about the price of turnips. Welcome to the medieval marketplace, where commerce is chaos and everyone's trying to cheat everyone else. Your shop occupies the ground floor of your house, a single room with a wide wooden counter that opens directly onto the street. Heavy shutters, which you barred last night, swing open to reveal your wares. Bolts of cloth, spools of thread, leather goods, and a few imported luxuries like ribbons and buttons. You and your apprentice begin setting up. The counter is dusted. The most expensive items are placed at eye level, and the cheaper goods are stacked in the back. Presentation matters. You're not just selling cloth. You're selling the image of success, quality, trustworthiness. The market square, just a few steps away, is a hive of activity. Farmers are arriving with carts full of vegetables, eggs, and live chickens. Bakers are shouting about hot bread. Fishmongers are hawking their catch, flies already circling the glistening piles of fish. The blacksmith's hammer rings out. The cooper's barrels are stacked high, and everywhere people are haggling, bargaining, arguing. This is your world. Loud, dirty, cutthroat, and absolutely essential to your survival. But before you can sell a single yard of cloth, you need to deal with the guilds. The guilds. The medieval merchant's best friend and worst enemy. You belong to the merchant guild, as does every other trader in town. It's not optional. If you want to legally buy and sell goods, you pay your dues and follow the rules. And there are so many rules. The guild dictates what you can sell, how much you can charge, and who you can sell to. It regulates quality, inspects your goods, and fines you if you step out of line. It's a cartel, dressed up as a brotherhood. Every week, guild inspectors walk through the market, checking weights, measures, and quality. If your cloth is subpar, you're fined. If your scales are off, even by a little, you're fined. If you're caught selling to someone outside the guild's jurisdiction, you're fined. The guildmaster, A wealthy merchant who's been in the business for decades has the final say on everything. And then there are the fees, membership dues, market stall fees, licensing fees, fines for imaginary infractions. The guild bleeds you dry, but you can't operate without it. On the other hand, the guild protects you. It keeps foreign merchants out, limits competition, and ensures that prices stay stable. It's a monopoly, and you're part of it, which is better than being on the outside. But it also means you can't innovate. You can't undercut your competitors. You can't take risks. You're locked into a system designed to keep everyone exactly where they are. Now, the competition. You're not the only cloth merchant in town. There's Willem, 2 stalls over, who constantly spreads rumors that your wool is infested with moths. There's Marjorie, across the square, who smiles sweetly while charging less than you and somehow still makes a profit. And there's the foreign merchant from Flanders, who shows up twice a year with exquisite imported cloth that makes your inventory look like burlap. You hate them all. They hate you. But you smile, nod, and pretend to be friendly, because this is business. The customers start arriving. First, the early risers, servants sent by wealthy households to buy provisions. They know quality, they know prices, and they haggle like their lives depend on it because they'll be beaten if they overpay. You smile, greet them warmly, and begin the dance. Good morning, mistress. Fine cloth today. Feel the weight. See the weave. This is quality wool. None better. She fingers the fabric, squints at it, and says, "It's thin, and this color's fading." "It's not thin. The color's fine." She's testing you. "Thin? My lady, this cloth could last 10 winters, and the dye, imported from Flanders, you won't find better. 3 pence a yard." You nearly choke. 3 pence? My lady, this is worth 6, and that's a kindness. 4. 5, and I'm robbing myself. She considers, then nods. 5, but I want 2 yards. And you'll throw in a spool of thread. You agree, because if you don't, she'll go to Willem. This is how every transaction goes. Exhausting, tedious, and slightly humiliating. There are no fixed prices. Everything is negotiable, and customers assume you're cheating them because you probably are. Next comes a farmer, looking to buy a new shirt for his son. He's got coins, probably saved for months, and he's terrified of being swindled. You show him the cheaper cloth, sturdy linen that'll last. He examines it like it's a holy relic, then asks the price. 2 pence, 1, 2, and it's a fair price. He hesitates, then pays. You've made a sale, but the profit's razor thin. Then there's the nobleman's steward, who arrives with an air of superiority and a request for the finest cloth you have. You show him imported silk, breathtakingly expensive. He examines it, declares it acceptable, and orders 10 yards. That'll be £3. I'll pay 2. You want to argue, but he's a noble's representative. If you refuse, you'll lose future business, or worse, be accused of insolence. So you agree, smile, and take the loss. By midday, you've sold a decent amount, but your profit is marginal. Every sale is a battle. Every transaction leaves you wondering if you've been cheated or if you've cheated yourself. And then there's the money. Medieval currency is a nightmare. You've got silver pennies, which are the standard, but they're often clipped or shaved, meaning someone's cut slivers of silver off the edges. You've got foreign coins, which need to be weighed and assessed for purity. You've got debased coins, where the kings minted new currency with less silver and more cheap metal, but still expects them to be worth the same. You hold each coin up to the light, check the weight, bite it, to test softness. Customers glare at you, offended, but you can't afford to accept counterfeit money. Then there's credit. Some customers don't have cash. They promise to pay next week, next month, after the harvest. You keep a mental tally, or if you're literate, you write it down in a ledger. But many never pay. They die, they move away, they simply ignore you. You can take them to court, but that costs money and time, and there's no guarantee you'll win. By late afternoon, you're exhausted. Your feet ache from standing. Your voice is hoarse from shouting. Your head throbs from the constant negotiation and calculation. And all around you, the market continues. The noise, the smell, the chaos. This is your life. Every day, the same grind, the same battles, the same razor-thin margins between profit and loss. You close up shop as the sun begins to set, securing the shutters, locking the door. You count the day's earnings, after expenses, after guild fees, after the cost of goods. You've made a modest profit, enough to survive, not enough to relax. Tomorrow, you'll do it all again, and the day after, and the day after that. Because in the medieval marketplace, there are no days off. There's only survival. You're a cloth merchant in 14th century France. You have a wife, 3 children, a decent house in town, and a profitable business. You have every reason to stay home, safe behind your city's walls. But you can't, because staying in one place means commercial death. And so, despite everything you're about to face, you must take to the roads. Your business depends on movement. The wool you sell doesn't magically appear in your shop. You must travel to Flanders to purchase it directly from the weavers, the wealthy customers who want Venetian silk. You need to meet the Italian merchants at the champagne fairs to negotiate prices you can afford. That nobleman who ordered fine linens for his daughter's wedding? He expects personal delivery to his castle, 40 miles away through the forest. The great trade fairs that drive European commerce happen seasonally, scattered across the continent. Miss the St. Denis Fair in June, and you've lost access to the French market for a year. Skip the cold fair at Lyon in winter, and your competitors will secure all the best contracts with the German merchants. And here's the brutal truth. Business relationships are built face to face. A letter can be ignored. A messenger can be dismissed. But when you stand before a guildmaster, sharing wine, shaking hands, looking him in the eye, that's when deals are made. That's when trust is built. That's when your reputation is established. So you pack your bags, you kiss your family goodbye, wondering if you'll see them again. Because your livelihood depends on the road. And the road, my friend, wants you dead. You're loading your pack horses in the grey dawn. 4 horses carry wool cloth, worth more than most peasants will see in a lifetime. The weight alone makes you nervous. If the horses are this laden, they can't run from danger. You've sewn 60 gold florins into the lining of your coat. Not in a purse. Everyone knows merchants carry purses. They'll cut your throat and take it in seconds. No, the money is distributed across your body. Coins in your boots, in a hidden belt, in the hem of your cloak. If you're robbed, maybe they'll miss some of it. Maybe. Can you afford guards? You've hired 2 men-at-arms, which will eat into your profits considerably. They're armed, experienced, and you trust them about as far as you can spit. Guards have been known to rob their employers. Who would stop them? Who would even know? You could disappear in a forest, and your family would spend years wondering what happened. Still, 2 guards are better than none. You've arranged to travel with 3 other merchants heading in roughly the same direction. There's safety in numbers, or so everyone says. Bandits prefer isolated targets, but a group of merchants is also a more attractive prize. And 7 people move slower than 1. Before you leave, you stop at the church. You pray to Saint Christopher, patron saint of travelers. You pray to Saint Nicholas, protector of merchants. You light candles. You confess your sins, just in case you don't return. The priest blesses you. You'll need it. What you're traveling on cannot honestly be called a road. It's a track, worn into the earth by centuries of use, never improved, never maintained. In the Roman times, they say, there were great paved highways crossing Europe. Most are broken now, reclaimed by nature, their stones stolen for building. What remains is mud. It's April, and the spring rains have turned the road into a river of filth. Your horses sink to their knees. The wagon wheels, those expensive, iron-bound wheels you paid a craftsman to make, are buried so deep that you have to unload half the cargo just to get unstuck. This happens 6 times in the first day. Everyone is covered in mud. It's in your hair, your mouth, your eyes. Your fine merchant's coat, which was supposed to show your status, ruined. If you'd traveled in winter, it would have been worse. Frozen ruts like iron teeth, waiting to snap cart axles. Ice that sends horses crashing down, breaking legs, spilling goods into snowdrifts. You've heard stories of merchants freezing to death just miles from their destination, lost in a blizzard. Summer isn't better, just different. The same ruts dry into stone-hard ridges that shatter wheels. Dust chokes you. The heat kills horses. You must carry enormous amounts of water, adding weight, slowing you down. And then there are the rivers. You reach a crossing point by afternoon. There was a bridge here once. You can see the broken stumps of its supports, jutting from the water. But it collapsed 3 years ago, and no one has the money or authority to rebuild it. You must ford the river. It looks shallow, but appearances lie. The spring melt has made it fast and deep. You send one of the guards across first, on horseback. The water rises to the horse's chest. The current is strong. If a pack horse loaded with cloth falls here, you're ruined. You make it across. Others haven't been so lucky. You can see a broken cart downstream, half submerged, abandoned. 12 miles today. You'd hoped for 20. Tomorrow will be worse. The forest begins at noon on the second day. Everyone goes quiet. Forests are where merchants disappear. The trees press close to the road, if you can even call it a road anymore. Visibility drops to a few dozen yards. Anything could be waiting in those shadows. Bandits know the routines. They know merchants travel these routes. They know you're carrying valuables. Why else would you risk this journey? They watch from the trees, counting your guards, assessing your cargo, waiting for the right moment. Some bandits are desperate peasants, driven to robbery by famine and overtaxation. They're dangerous because they're unpredictable, often armed with nothing more than farm tools and terror. They might let you go if you surrender your purse, or they might panic and kill you. Others are organized, professional, former soldiers perhaps, or younger sons of minor nobles with no inheritance and no prospects. These are the ones who truly terrify you. They have weapons, horses, experience. They know how to set an ambush. They know that dead merchants tell no tales. And then there are the nobles. Oh, they don't call it robbery. They call it a toll or a protection fee. Lord so-and-so controls this stretch of forest, and he's decided that anyone passing through owes him money. It's extortion, dressed up in legal language. But what can you do? Refuse, and his men will bar your way. Or worse, you pay. You always pay. One of the other merchants in your group whispers a story. Last year, a trader refused to pay a baron's demanded toll. They found him a week later, hanging from a tree, his goods gone, his throat cut. You keep your hand near your knife. You watch the forest. You pray. You survive the forest. Today, by the fourth day, you've paid 7 different tolls. 7. 1 at a bridge. A legitimate toll, you suppose, since someone actually maintains the bridge. 1 at a town gate. 1 to cross through a bishop's land. 1 at a river crossing operated by a local lord. 1 to a knight who controls the road through a mountain pass. 1 to enter a different region, claimed by a different nobleman. 1 to a group of armed men who might be official toll collectors or might be bandits. You honestly can't tell, but you pay anyway. Each toll is calculated to extract maximum profit without quite bankrupting you. The toll collectors aren't stupid, kill the merchants or charge too much, and the trade routes shift, but keep it just below unbearable, and merchants keep coming, keep paying. You've spent nearly 20% of your expected profit on tolls alone. And you're not even halfway to your destination. Some of these fees fund actual infrastructure, the bridge, the town walls, but most go into the pockets of whoever has the power to demand them. Medieval Europe is a patchwork of tiny jurisdictions, each one a potential obstacle, each lord a potential extortionist. There's no central authority to appeal to, no king to complain to about excessive tolls. You pay, or you find another route, which will have its own tolls, or you give up trade entirely. You think about that sometimes, giving up, finding a safer profession. But you're a merchant. This is what you do. This is what you are. So you pay. Night is falling, and you're nowhere near your destination. Most journeys can't be completed in a single day, which means you need lodging. You reach an inn as darkness settles. It's a low building, timber and thatch, leaning slightly to one side. A painted sign shows a faded rooster. Inside, it smells of smoke, unwashed bodies, and something you hope is just stale beer. The common room is packed. 24 travelers crowd around rough tables, eating stew from shared bowls. The innkeeper, a heavy woman with suspicious eyes, demands payment up front. Highway robbery of a different kind, but you pay. There are no private rooms. Why would there be? You're a merchant, not a lord. You'll sleep in the dormitory upstairs with everyone else. Pilgrims, traders, journeymen, drifters. 10 or 12 to a room, sharing straw mattresses, crawling with bedbugs. Your goods are your responsibility. The innkeeper won't guard them. Neither will anyone else. You have to pay one of your guards to sleep with the horses and cargo, which means paying him extra, which means more profit lost. The stew arrives. It's mostly turnips and barley, with something that might be meat floating in grease. You eat it anyway. You're hungry, and you don't know when you'll eat again. Food poisoning is a real risk. You've had it before, spent 3 days in agony, but starvation is certain. Upstairs, you claim a space on a mattress you're sharing with 2 strangers. One snores, the other coughs wetly, constantly, the kind of cough that might be plague or might just be winter sickness. You don't ask. The bedbugs start biting almost immediately. You scratch. Everyone scratches. There's no privacy, no security, no comfort. Someone's feet are in your face. You can hear rats in the walls. You don't sleep. Sometimes, when there's no inn, you sleep in the stable with your goods, wrapped in your cloak, your knife in your hand, listening to every sound in the darkness, wondering if that's a rat or a thief. Tomorrow, you'll do this all again. You have no map. Maps exist, sort of, but they're rare, expensive, and largely useless. They show cities as symbolic towers, distances as guesses, and roads as vague lines that may or may not correspond to reality. You navigate by landmarks and by asking. Follow this road until you see a church with a red door, then turn left at the old oak tree. Helpful unless the tree has been cut down, or unless you miss the church, or unless left was actually supposed to be right, and the farmer you asked didn't really know but didn't want to admit it. Getting lost is easy, terrifyingly easy, especially in forests where one tree looks like every other tree, and the path splits without warning into two equally worn tracks. You've been following the sun, keeping it on your right in the morning, but clouds roll in by afternoon, thick and grey. Now you're navigating by instinct, by hope, by prayer. And then the storm hits. Rain like you've never seen, turning the road into a river in minutes. Lightning cracks the sky. Your horses panic. One of the pack horses slips, falls, nearly rolls down the hillside. You save it, but the cargo is soaked. Wool absorbs water like a sponge. It's twice as heavy now, possibly ruined. You need shelter. There's nothing. No inn, no barn, no cave. You huddle under the wagon with the others, shivering, soaked to the bone, wondering if the cold will kill you before morning. It doesn't, but it could have. Weather kills merchants every year. Storms, floods, lightning, extreme cold, extreme heat. You're at the mercy of nature, and nature has no mercy. Every journey could be your last. You know this. Every merchant knows this. The roads are full of graves, unmarked, unremembered, the final resting places of traders who gambled on one more journey. Your wealth makes you a target. The goods you carry, the coins hidden in your clothing, the very fact that you're traveling at all, it all marks you as prey. Bandits see opportunity. Corrupt officials see someone to exploit. Innkeepers see someone to overcharge. You must appear confident. Merchants who show fear are treated worse, charged more, threatened more, targeted more readily. So you smile, you negotiate firmly, you act like you're not terrified, but you are. Every shadow might hide a robber. Every stranger might be a thief. Every bridge might collapse. Every meal might poison you. Every night in a strange inn might be your last. And yet, you keep going. Because this is your profession. This is how you feed your family. This is how you maintain your status, your guild membership, your place in society. But the dangers don't end when you reach your destination. Because now, you have to conduct business, negotiate contracts, navigate guild politics, avoid fraudsters, ensure payment. The physical dangers of the road are only the beginning. The legal and financial hazards waiting in the cities. Those can destroy you just as thoroughly as any bandit. But that's a different nightmare entirely. You've survived the road. You're back in your shop, surrounded by your goods, safe behind city walls. You think the danger is over. You're wrong. The real threats to your survival aren't bandits or storms. They're ledgers and lawsuits, creditors and courts. Welcome to the nightmare of medieval finance. Let's start with the foundation of your business. Credit. Banking, as you might understand it, barely exists. The church forbids usury. Charging interest on loans is a mortal sin that can damn your soul to hell. But commerce can't function without credit. So everyone dances around the rules. You need credit to buy that shipment of Flemish cloth. The seller needs credit because his buyers won't pay immediately. Everyone owes everyone, and the entire system runs on trust and desperate hope. When you lend money, and you must lend money, you don't charge interest. Oh no. You charge fees for risk, or you structure it as a partnership, where you happen to receive more than you invested, or you demand payment in a different currency and manipulate the exchange rate. Everyone knows it's usury. The church knows. But commerce must continue, so everyone pretends. Here's your current situation. You've extended credit to 23 customers. The Duke's steward owes you for 6 months of silk deliveries. The master goldsmith owes you for wool. The baker's widow owes you for linen her husband ordered before he died. Half of them will never pay you. The Duke's steward, he'll delay, make excuses, maybe pay a fraction. What are you going to do? Sue a duke? The goldsmith claims the wool was inferior, though he's already sold the finished products. The baker's widow? She has nothing. Meanwhile, you owe the Venetian merchants for your last purchase. You owe the shipper who brought your goods from Bruges. You owe your landlord, the guild, the tax collector. Miss a payment, and the debt collectors come. Not polite men with ledgers. These are thugs with clubs who will break your fingers as a warning. Continue to default, and you'll find yourself in debtor's prison, a filthy hole where you'll rot until someone pays your debts or you die. There's no bankruptcy protection, no limited liability. Everything you own, your shop, your home, your furniture, the clothes on your back, can be seized. Your family will be thrown into the street. A customer claims the cloth you sold him was supposed to be blue, not green. You distinctly remember him asking for green. But the contract, if you even wrote one, is vague. Colored cloth of good quality. What does that mean? Now you're being dragged to court. But which court? That's your first problem. Medieval Europe doesn't have one legal system. It has dozens, all overlapping, all claiming jurisdiction. The guild court says this is a trade dispute. The municipal court says it's a contract issue. The church court might get involved if oaths were sworn. The manor court wants a say because the customer is the Lord's man. Each court has different procedures, different laws, different biases, and you're an outsider in most of them. The municipal court meets. You stand before 3 judges, local merchants who compete with you. Think they'll be impartial. The customer is the nephew of one judge, the drinking companion of another. You've already lost, but you must defend yourself. You hire a lawyer, expensive. You pay court fees, expensive. You lose 3 days of business attending hearings, expensive. You bring witnesses, but witnesses can be bought, and your opponent has more money. The trial isn't about truth. It's about who has more influence, who can pay more bribes, who belongs here, and who doesn't. You lose. You must replace the cloth and pay damages. The customer smirks. Everyone knows he's lying, but the system doesn't care about truth. It cares about power. And this is just one case. You're currently involved in 4 different legal disputes. Each one bleeds money, time, reputation. Each one might destroy you. Let's talk about how medieval justice actually works, or doesn't. You've been accused of selling underweight bread. You don't sell bread, you sell cloth. But someone has accused you, and now you must defend yourself. The manor court convenes. The Lord Steward presides, a man who knows nothing about commerce but everything about extracting fees. You must pay to have your case heard. You must pay for the privilege of defending yourself against false accusations. The evidence? Your accuser says he bought bread from you. You say you don't sell bread. He brings his cousin as a witness. You bring your guildmaster. But your guildmaster is from another town. His testimony counts for less. Local word outweighs outside proof. In some places, they still practice trial by ordeal. Though the church has officially banned it. They might not throw you in a river to see if you float, but they have other methods. Holding hot iron. Walking on coals. If God lets you burn, you're guilty. More common is trial by combat. Yes, in the 14th century, disputes can still be settled by fighting. You're a merchant, soft from years of counting coins. Your accuser is a blacksmith with arms like tree trunks. You can hire a champion to fight for you. If you can afford one, if you can find one, if you trust one. The whole system is designed to extract money. Every appearance costs fees. Every document needs a seal. More fees. Every witness must be registered. More fees. Appeal the decision. That's a different court, different fees, different bribes. And if you're accused of something serious, heresy, treason, witchcraft, the process is even worse. Torture is legal and routine. Confessions extracted by pain are considered valid. Your property is confiscated upon accusation, not conviction. Even if you're proven innocent, you've already lost everything. You thought the road tolls were bad. Wait until you see what they charge you for staying still. Your shop is taxed. Your home is taxed. The goods in your inventory are taxed. The cart you use for deliveries is taxed. The sign hanging outside your shop, taxed. Then there's the market tax every time you sell something. The import tax on foreign goods. The export tax on local goods sold elsewhere. The weighing tax for using the official scales. The measuring tax for using the official measures. The church wants its tithe. 10% of your income. Not your profit, your income. Doesn't matter if you had a bad year. Doesn't matter if you're barely surviving. God wants his cut, and the church is God's debt collector. The king needs money for his war in Scotland. Special war tax. The prince is getting married. Wedding tax. The duke was captured in battle and needs ransom. Ransom tax. There's always something. The tax collectors are worse than bandits. At least bandits are honest about robbing you. Tax collectors arrive with armed guards and official writs. They assess your property, always higher than it's worth. They estimate your income, always more than you make. They demand payment immediately. Can't pay? They'll seize goods from your shop. Still can't pay? They'll take your furniture. Still not enough? Debtor's prison. You try to hide some income, keep 2 sets of books like everyone else. But if you're caught, it's fraud. More fines, more fees, possible imprisonment. The system is designed to bleed you slowly, keeping you alive just enough to keep paying. Your success makes you a target. Neighbors see your fine clothes, your well-stocked shop, and they wonder, how did he get so wealthy? Must be cheating. Must be fraud. Must be witchcraft. The accusations come suddenly. A competitor claims you're mixing cheap wool with expensive wool and selling it as pure. You're not. But how do you prove it? The burden of proof is on you, and medieval courts love guilty verdicts. They can confiscate your property. The church investigates you for usury, those fees and penalties you charge. Someone has reported you. The bishop's court doesn't care that everyone does it. They care that you got caught. The fine will be massive, and you might face excommunication, spiritual death, and commercial suicide. Your success itself becomes suspicious. A bad harvest has ruined other merchants, but you survived. Why? Must be dark magic. It sounds absurd, but witchcraft accusations are real and deadly. Your neighbor mentions seeing strange lights in your shop at night. You were just working late by candlelight. Your wife's herbal remedies helped during the last plague, obviously sorcery. Or maybe you traveled to Constantinople and brought back new ideas, different ways of keeping accounts, different trading practices. The church doesn't like different. Different might be heresy, and heresy means burning. Even association is dangerous. That Jewish merchant you trade with regularly? Now you're suspected of converting. That Italian banker who helped finance your last venture, he's been arrested for fraud, and everyone he dealt with is under suspicion. Every transaction, every relationship, every success is a potential accusation waiting to happen. Fire. It's 2 in the morning when you smell smoke. By the time you wake fully, your shop is already burning. Medieval cities are tinderboxes, wooden buildings pressed together, thatched roofs, open flames everywhere. You save your family, you save nothing else. Your entire inventory, gone. Your records, gone. The credit you extended, the debts you're owed, the contracts proving what others owe you, all ash. There's no insurance, no disaster relief, no government aid. You've lost everything in minutes. But fire is just one way to lose everything. Your apprentice, whom you trusted, has been stealing for months. Small amounts, clever accounting, items that spoiled but actually sold out the back door. By the time you discover it, he's fled to another city with enough of your wealth to start his own business. Or war comes. The king's army marches through, and they need supplies. They take your cloth, your food, your horses. They give you a promissory note, payment to come from the royal treasury. You know you'll never see a penny. Refusing means being branded a traitor. Pirates sink the ship carrying your goods. Bandits rob your caravan. Rats eat through your grain stores. Moths destroy your wool. Wine turns to vinegar. Leather rots in unexpected rain. Every disaster is uninsured, uncompensated, unremedied. You absorb the loss, or you're finished. The cascade begins with one missed payment. You can't pay the Venetian merchant because the Duke's steward hasn't paid you. The Venetian demands his money. You promise next month, but next month, 3 more customers default. The tax collector arrives. You must choose, pay taxes or pay creditors. You pay taxes. The alternative is prison. Now the Venetian is furious. He seizes your next shipment at the docks. Without that shipment, you can't fill orders. Customers cancel. Your reputation crumbles. The spiral accelerates. Creditors circle like vultures. They petition courts for writs of attachment. Bailiffs arrive to inventory your property. Everything is marked for seizure. Your shop goods, your household items, even your wife's dowry gifts. There's no bankruptcy protection, no fresh start. You are personally liable for every debt unto death and beyond. Your children can inherit your debts. Some merchants flee. They abandon everything, take what coins they can hide, and run to another city, another country. They become fugitives, starting over with nothing, always fearing recognition, arrest, extradition. Others end up in debtor's prison. Dark, diseased holes where you stay until someone pays your debts or you die. Your family must bring you food. The prison provides nothing. Many starve. Many more die of disease. The lucky ones become servants to their creditors, working off debts that grow faster than they can be paid. It's not quite slavery, but it's close. Every day, you balance on a knife's edge. You juggle 20 credit arrangements, 15 debts, 12 ongoing legal disputes, 6 tax obligations, and the constant threat of accusation, disaster, or betrayal. You might have a warehouse full of goods worth a fortune, but no coins to buy bread. You might be owed thousands by nobles who will never pay, while owing hundreds to creditors who will destroy you for defaulting. The stress never ends. You lie awake, calculating, worrying, planning. Can you delay this payment to make that one? Can you sell this property to cover that debt? Can you borrow from Peter to pay Paul? One bad season, one fire, one lawsuit, one powerful enemy, and everything collapses. Success makes you a target. Wealth makes you vulnerable. The more you have, the more you can lose, and everyone wants what you have. You survive not through merit alone, but through constant vigilance, careful politics, and tremendous luck. Most don't survive. Most merchants die poor, their families destitute, their names forgotten. But even if you succeed financially, even if you navigate the legal maze, even if you avoid bankruptcy and prison, you're still just a merchant. In the medieval social hierarchy, you're above peasants, but below everyone who matters. You have wealth, but no respect. You have influence, but no power. And navigating that social minefield, that's another nightmare entirely. The politics of being a successful merchant in a world that despises merchants, that might be the most dangerous game of all. You've survived the roads, you've navigated the courts, you've avoided bankruptcy, you're successful, wealthy even. Your strongbox holds more gold than most knights will see in a lifetime, and yet you're nothing. Welcome to the crushing reality of medieval social hierarchy, where money can't buy you respect and success makes you a target of contempt from every direction. Medieval society is divided into 3 estates, ordained by God himself, or so everyone tells you. First, those who pray, the clergy, from the village priest to the pope, intermediaries between earth and heaven. Second, those who fight, the nobility, from minor knights to powerful dukes, protectors of the realm. Third, those who work, everyone else, peasants, craftsmen, laborers, and you. You're in that third estate, lumped together with serfs who can barely feed themselves. But here's the problem. You live better than many knights. Your house has glass windows, while theirs have shutters. Your wife wears finer cloth than their ladies. Your table bears spices from the Orient, while they eat salted pork. This inversion of wealth and status creates a poisonous atmosphere. The peasants hate you because you're rich. They see you as a parasite, profiting from their labor, growing fat while they starve. When bread prices rise, they blame you, not the failed harvest. When times are hard, you're the one hoarding grain, even if you're not. The nobles hate you because your wealth mocks their superiority. How dare you, a mere merchant, live comfortably while they struggle to maintain their castles? Your very existence challenges the divine order. The clergy hate you because you represent greed incarnate. Christ threw the money changers from the temple, and here you are, counting coins, charging interest, pursuing profit over paradise. You belong nowhere. You fit nowhere. You're trapped between worlds, welcome in none. The Count needs Venetian silk for his daughter's wedding. He sends for you, not an invitation, a summons. You drop everything and go. You enter his hall, and immediately you must perform your role. You bow, not too little, disrespectful, but not too much, mockery. You wait to be acknowledged. You speak only when spoken to. You agree with everything he says, laugh at his jokes, admire his wisdom. He's an idiot. You both know it, but he has a title, and you have a shop. He examines your finest silk, criticizes the color, questions the quality, haggles like a fishwife over the price. Then he takes it all on credit. You both know he'll never pay in full. Maybe half, if you're lucky. Maybe nothing. What are you going to do? Sue a count, in his own courts, with his own judges? You'd be lucky to leave town alive. This is the devil's bargain of dealing with nobility. They're your best customers. Only they can afford your luxury goods. But they're also your worst customers. They pay late, partially, or never. Lord William owes you 300 marks for last year's wine. His son owes you 50 for that jeweled dagger. The bishop's nephew owes you for those furs. Combined, the nobility owes you more than your shop is worth. You'll never see most of it. But you keep extending credit, keep bowing, keep smiling, because their patronage, even unpaid, gives you status. Merchant to Lord William carries weight. It offers some protection. It opens doors. And then there are the sumptuary laws, those delightful regulations that dictate what you can wear based on your station. You could buy cloth of gold, but you can't wear it. That's for nobility. You could afford ermine, but that fur is reserved for your betters. Your wife can't wear a train on her dress, no matter how wealthy you are. Your sleeves can't be too long, your colors can't be too bright, your jewels can't be too large. You must appear prosperous enough to be taken seriously, but not so prosperous as to challenge the social order. It's an impossible balance. Sunday Mass. You sit in your designated place, not with the nobility near the altar, but not with the peasants in the back. The middle, always the middle, that uncertain space that defines your entire existence. The priest's sermon today is about the camel and the eye of the needle. How it's easier for a camel to pass through a needle's eye than for a rich man to enter heaven. He's looking directly at you as he says it. The church views you with deep suspicion. Profit is suspect. Interest is sinful. The accumulation of wealth is spiritual corruption. You are, by your very profession, walking a tightrope over hell. So you donate. Generously. Desperately. You pay for new windows in the cathedral. You fund the monastery's new dormitory. You sponsor feast days. You buy indulgences, those convenient papers that reduce your time in purgatory. Your donations exceed your taxes, and still it's not enough, because everyone knows merchants are greedy. Everyone knows you love money more than God. It doesn't matter that you attend every Mass, confess regularly, fast during Lent. Your profession itself is tainted, and the church holds terrible power over you. If they declare you a usurer, you're excommunicated, cut off from the sacraments, unable to receive last rites, condemned to hell. Your neighbors will shun you. Your business will collapse. You'll die alone and damned. The fear gnaws at you. Are you too greedy? Is this profit acceptable? Is that fee actually hidden interest? You lie awake wondering if your soul is already lost. If all these donations are futile attempts to buy what can't be purchased. When plague comes, the priests say it's God's judgment on the greedy. They mean you. When famine strikes, it's punishment for society's sins. They mean your sins. You're the scapegoat for every disaster, the symbol of corruption in a supposedly pure world. Your guild is your lifeline and your prison. Without guild membership, you can't trade legally. The guild sets prices, standards, trading zones. It provides some protection against competition and fraud, but it also controls every aspect of your business life. The guild hall meeting tonight is tense. There's an election for master. 2 factions have formed, and you must choose a side. Choose wrong, and the new master will remember. Your best trading spots at the market could be reassigned. Your quality inspections could become unusually strict. Your minor infractions could result in major fines. Thomas the Draper is running on a platform of restricting foreign traders. Good for established merchants like you, but it might provoke retaliation from other cities. William the Silk Merchant wants to lower admission standards, allowing more competition, but also growing the guild's power. The politics are vicious. Thomas is spreading rumors that William waters his wine. William counters that Thomas has been seen meeting with Flemish merchants in secret, possibly arranging deals outside guild rules. Both are probably true. You cast your vote carefully, publicly, so everyone knows where you stand. Thomas wins. William's faction glares at you. You've made enemies. There will be consequences. Guild obligations never end. Mandatory meetings you must attend or face fines. Guild feasts you must help fund. Sick members you must support. Dead members' widows you must aid. It's a brotherhood, but brothers can hate each other. And if you ever dream of becoming guild master yourself, the power, the prestige, the control, remember that every master has enemies waiting for him to fail. The position is as much curse as blessing. Your daughter is 15, beautiful, educated, accomplished. You love her dearly. She's also your most valuable trading asset. Marriage among merchants isn't about love, it's about mergers. The right marriage can double your business overnight. The wrong one can destroy it. You've been negotiating with Robert the goldsmith. His son is weak-chinned and dull, but the family has connections to the Hanseatic League. That connection could open Baltic trade routes worth a fortune. But Martin the wine merchant is also interested. His son is handsome and clever, and Martin controls the wine imports from Bordeaux. That monopoly would secure your future. Your daughter weeps. She loves the baker's son, a kind boy with no prospects. You explain, gently but firmly, that love is a luxury merchants can't afford. She'll learn to tolerate her husband, perhaps even grow fond of him. Many do. The negotiations are brutal. Dowry amounts, future inheritance rights, which family name the business will carry, where the couple will live, how many children they must produce. Every detail is haggled over like a trade deal, because that's what it is. You settle on Robert's son. The documents are drawn up. The betrothal is announced. Your daughter stops speaking to you. But the alliance is already paying off. Robert's connections get you better rates on Baltic amber. His guild standing enhances yours. The two businesses begin to merge, carefully, strategically. Your son will be next. You're already eyeing the spice merchant's daughter. That connection could make you one of the wealthiest merchants in the city. If you survive long enough to see it, reputation is your true currency. Gold can be stolen, shops can burn, but reputation, carefully built over decades, is your real wealth, which is why the rumor terrifies you. Someone is saying you mix sand with salt in your last shipment. It's completely false, but the story is spreading. Customers are asking questions. Competitors are smirking. The damage is happening in real time. You must respond, but carefully. Too strong a denial looks guilty. Too weak looks like admission. You choose a middle path. Public inspection of your goods, sworn statements from satisfied customers, subtle suggestions about which competitor started the rumor. It works this time, but reputation is fragile glass. One crack and it shatters completely. Everything is performance. You must appear successful, but not arrogant, pious, but not sanctimonious, generous, but not wasteful, firm, but not cruel. It's exhausting, this constant theater. When Peter the clothier insults you at the market, calls you a grasping Jew lover because you trade with Abraham the moneylender, you can't ignore it. Not publicly. Honor culture demands response, but you can't challenge him to combat. Merchants don't duel. You can't attack him. That's criminal. So you respond with careful, cutting words about his inferior cloth, his shrewish wife, his debts. The crowd laughs. Peter retreats. Honor is satisfied. For now, every interaction is strategic. Every word is measured. Every gesture is calculated. One wrong move, and you're the subject of gossip, scandal, ruin. Sometimes, late at night, counting your gold, you dream of escape. Not physical escape, social elevation. With enough wealth, It's theoretically possible to buy your way into minor nobility, a small estate, a purchased title. Your grandchildren could be knights, but the path is treacherous. First, you need staggering wealth, not just merchant rich, but noble rich, enough to buy land, build a manor, maintain armed men, host feasts, wage wars. Then you need connections, a noble patron willing to sponsor you, royal favor, church support. Each requires years of cultivation and fortune in bribes. Even if you succeed, you're marked forever. New money, they'll whisper. Merchant blood. Your grandson might be accepted, but you never will be. The old families will sneer at your bought title, mock your attempts at noble manners. Remember always that you once stood behind a counter. John the Vintner tried it 5 years ago. Bought an estate, styled himself Sir John, started wearing spurs. The real nobles laughed him out of court. His business collapsed from neglect. He died bitter and broke, neither merchant nor noble, belonging nowhere. The dream is poison, but you can't stop dreaming it. Every day you navigate an impossible maze of social obligations, political alliances, and cultural expectations. You're wealthy, but not secure. One noble's whim could destroy you. One church accusation could damn you. One guild controversy could ruin you. One rumor could end you. You have power, but can't wield it openly. You influence events, but can't be seen doing so. You matter, but must pretend you don't. The stress is crushing. You develop nervous habits, checking locks obsessively, counting coins repeatedly, starting at unexpected sounds. Your hair grays prematurely. Your stomach churns constantly. Sleep comes rarely and brings nightmares of social disgrace, financial ruin, spiritual damnation. You're 43 years old and feel ancient. Some merchants drink themselves to death, seeking oblivion in wine. Others work themselves to death, seeking meaning in ledgers. Many die young, their bodies breaking under the strain of constant vigilance. Because here's the ultimate truth. You're trapped in a cage built from gold bars. Wealthy enough to be envied, but never enough to be safe. Successful enough to matter, but never enough to be respected. You exist in the spaces between poor and noble, between sacred and profane, between security and catastrophe. Always climbing, never arriving. Always performing, never resting. And even if you survive the social labyrinth, even if you navigate the political minefield, even if you maintain your reputation and honor, your body is failing. The stress is killing you. The rich food is poisoning you. The constant fear is destroying you from within. Medieval medicine can't save you. The physicians with their leeches and mercury, the barber-surgeons with their dirty knives, the herbalists with their mysterious potions, they're as likely to kill you as cure you. Your wealth can buy many things. But it can't buy health, it can't buy safety, and it certainly can't buy peace. Your back hasn't stopped aching in 3 years. It started as a twinge when you bent over your ledgers. Now it's constant fire, running from your neck to your hips. You spend 14 hours a day, hunched over your counting table, squinting at columns of numbers by candlelight. And your body is breaking down. Your eyes water constantly. The flickering candles, the strain of reading contracts in Latin, the endless checking of weights and measures in dim light. You're going blind, slowly but surely. Already, you need your apprentice to read the smaller script. Look at your hands. See those swollen joints? That's from 20 years of counting coins, testing fabric, weighing goods. Your fingers lock up in the morning. By evening, they're too stiff to hold a quill properly. The physician calls it merchant's claw, as if naming it helps. Your legs are worse. Standing at your market stall from dawn to dusk has given you veins that bulge like ropes under your skin. They ache constantly, throbbing with each heartbeat. When you finally sit, the relief is so intense you nearly weep. But here's what's really killing you: the food. You're not a peasant anymore. You eat meat daily: beef, pork, fowl. You drink wine with every meal. Your table bears white bread, not the coarse brown stuff of your youth. Rich sauces, imported spices, sugared fruits. Your body shows it. Your belly strains against your belt. Your face is florid, flushed. Climbing stairs leaves you gasping. Your feet swell so badly that some mornings you can't put on your shoes. The physician calls it the disease of kings, gout, but you're no king, just a merchant who eats like one. And the stress. God, the stress. Your stomach burns constantly, a fire that no amount of wine can quench. Your heart races at random moments, pounding so hard you think it might burst. You wake at night, gasping for air, drowning in your own bed. You can afford the best physician in town. Unfortunately, the best physician in town is still a medieval physician. He examines you with the confidence of complete ignorance. Your back pain? An excess of cold, wet humors. The treatment: bleeding to release the bad blood. He produces leeches, fat, black, writhing things, and places them along your spine. You feel them bite, feel your blood flowing out, and somehow you're paying for this. Your stomach troubles? Clearly too much yellow bile. You need purging. He gives you a concoction that tastes like death and works like poison. You spend the next day on the chamber pot, evacuating everything you've eaten for a week, growing weaker with each hour. This is medicine. For your swollen legs, he prescribes mercury rubs. Yes, mercury, that quicksilver poison that makes hatters go mad. But the physician insists it will draw out the evil humors. It burns your skin and makes you dizzy, but surely the university-trained doctor knows best. When your apprentice cuts his hand on a blade, you call the barber-surgeon. He arrives with his tools, saws, knives, pincers, all crusted with the blood of previous patients. No cleaning between uses. Why would there be? No one understands infection. The wound festers within days. Red streaks climb up the boy's arm. The barber-surgeon's solution? Amputation. He gives the boy poppy wine, if you're lucky enough to afford it, or just strong ale if you're not. 4 men hold him down. The saw bites through meat and bone while he screams. Half of amputees die from blood loss or shock. The other half die from infection. Your apprentice is lucky. He merely loses his hand and his livelihood. Cities are death traps. Thousands of people crammed together, living in their own filth. Open sewers run down the middle of streets. Butchers dump offal in the gutters. Human waste gets thrown from windows with a shouted warning of Gardiloo, if you're lucky. Disease spreads like wildfire through this tinderbox of humanity. The sweating sickness arrives in summer. One day you're healthy, the next you're burning with fever, sweating so profusely that your bedsheets are soaked within hours. Half who catch it are dead by morning. There's no treatment, no cure, just prayer and luck. In winter, it's consumption. What later ages will call tuberculosis. That merchant you were negotiating with last week, he had a slight cough. Now he's dead, drowning in his own blood. You remember how he coughed near you, and you wonder if death is already growing in your lungs. As a merchant, you can't flee when disease strikes. Your shop, your goods, your entire livelihood is here. When plague comes to town, nobles retreat to country estates. Peasants have nothing to lose by running. But you must stay, must keep your business alive, even as customers die around you. The quarantine attempts are pathetic. They might lock up a house where someone died of plague, marking the door with a cross. But the disease is already spreading through markets, churches, inns. You must still trade, still interact, still risk exposure every day. You watch the death carts roll past your shop, piled with bodies. You count the houses marked with crosses. You wonder when your turn will come. Night is falling, and you're counting today's takings. 40 silver marks. A good day. You divide it carefully. Some in the strongbox, some in a hidden compartment behind a false wall, some sewn into a belt you'll wear home. Because everyone knows merchants have money, and the darkness brings predators. Last month, Thomas the spice merchant was found in an alley. His throat cut, his purse gone. The month before, William's shop was broken into. They took everything, even his scales. There's no police force, just a town watch, made up of citizens who'd rather be home in bed. You bar your shutters with iron. You keep a crossbow under your counter. Illegal, but necessary. Your bedroom door has 3 locks, and you sleep with a dagger under your pillow. The walk home is 500 yards of terror. You vary your route, never establishing a pattern. You walk quickly, but not too quickly. Running attracts attention. Your hand grips the knife hidden in your sleeve. Footsteps behind you, your heart hammers. Are they following you, or just walking the same direction? You turn a corner, duck into a doorway. Wait. The footsteps pass. This time. But it's not just random thieves you fear. Your competitor, Robert, has hired men to rough up merchants who undercut his prices. They won't kill you, probably, but a broken hand makes it hard to count coins. A smashed knee makes it impossible to work your stall. Your shop is a fortress, but fortresses can be breached. You've hired a guard, a former soldier named Henri. He's scarred, competent, and you pay him well. But you also know he's noticed where you hide your gold. You've seen him testing the weight of certain boxes, memorizing your routines. How long before he decides taking everything is easier than earning wages? So you create deceptions, false bottoms in chests that appear full but aren't, bags of copper painted to look like gold in obvious hiding spots. The real wealth is in the walls, behind loose stones, under floorboards, places even you sometimes forget. Your wife knows some locations, but not all. Your son knows others. No one knows everything except you. And you're starting to forget because you're getting older and the stress is affecting your memory. You've started sleeping in your shop some nights, curled up between grain sacks with your crossbow loaded. You tell your wife it's to save time during busy seasons, but really it's because you don't trust anyone, not even Henri, not even your apprentices. 3 times you've woken to sounds in the night. Twice it was rats. Once you're certain it was someone testing your locks. They didn't get in, but they'll try again. The paranoia is eating you alive, but paranoia has kept you alive. The market erupts without warning. You're weighing wheat for a customer when someone shouts, "Cheat!" Not at you, at the baker's stall, but violence spreads like plague. Someone throws a punch, someone else draws a knife, and suddenly the entire square is a battlefield. You duck behind your counter as pottery smashes overhead. Your beautiful display of cloth gets trampled by fleeing customers. A brawling pair crashes into your scales, destroying the delicate mechanism that took months to import. When the town watch finally arrives, 2 men are dead, and your stall is half destroyed. No one will pay for the damages. This is just the cost of doing business in a world where violence simmers constantly beneath commerce's surface. But the accidents are almost worse than the violence. Last winter, a barrel of wine rolled off a cart, crushing your apprentice's foot. It never healed right. He still limps. The summer before, you were moving cloth bales when one shifted, knocking you into a display of metal tools. The gash required 17 stitches from a barber-surgeon whose needle was rustier than the blade that cut you. If you trade in dyes, you're breathing poison daily. Mercury, lead, arsenic. The Dyers Guild members all have the same look. Pallid skin, trembling hands, rotting teeth. They die young, coughing blood. Even counting coins is dangerous. The lead in the pewter, the copper that turns your fingers green. Metals seep through skin, accumulate in your body, slowly poisoning you in ways medieval medicine can't even imagine. The crowd gathering outside sounds different today, angrier. It's been a hard winter. Bread prices have tripled. People are starving. And someone, probably a rival merchant, has been spreading rumors that you're hoarding grain, driving up prices for profit. You're not. Your storeroom has less grain than usual because shipments have been delayed. But hungry people don't want explanations. They want someone to blame. The shouting grows louder. Someone throws a stone through your window. Then another. You grab your strongbox and flee through the back door as the mob breaks down the front. They take everything. Goods, furniture, even your ledgers. What they can't carry, they burn. Years of work, destroyed in minutes. You watch from a safe distance as smoke rises from your life's work. But at least you escaped. During the Peasants' Revolt of 1381, they dragged merchants from their homes and beat them to death in the streets. During the Jacquerie in France, they burned entire merchant quarters. You're rebuilding when the real catastrophe arrives. The Black Death, 1348. It starts with reports from the south, a disease that kills in days, bodies piling up faster than they can be buried, entire towns emptied. Then it reaches your city. Your neighbor develops swellings in his neck, black putrid boils that weep pus and blood. He's dead in 3 days. His wife follows, their children, the house next to theirs, the entire street. Trade collapses. No one will buy goods that might carry contamination. The market's empty. Your customers die or flee. Your suppliers vanish. Currency becomes meaningless. You can't eat gold. You survive, somehow, miraculously. But the world that emerges from the plague is unrecognizable. Half the population is dead. The economy is shattered. The social order is in chaos. Your hands shake now. Not from age, you're only 47, but from the accumulated damage of decades. The back pain has progressed to the point where standing straight is impossible. Your eyes are so weak, you need your son to read everything. The gout has spread from your feet to your knees, your hands, making every movement agony. You can't work the shop anymore, can't lift goods, can't count coins, can't stand at the market stall. Your body, the tool of your trade, has failed. There's no retirement plan, no guild pension beyond token charity, no insurance for disability. You work until you die, or you become a burden on your family, watching your son take over while you sit useless in the corner, your authority evaporating with your strength. Medieval merchants don't fade away peacefully. They die at their counting tables, hearts giving out from the strain. They die in their beds, consumed by diseases that later centuries will cure with simple pills. They die in street violence, victims of robbery or riot. They die young, worn out by work that never ends. You've survived longer than most, survived the roads, the courts, the social labyrinth. Your wealth couldn't buy you safety, but it bought you time. Now, As evening falls and your apprentice lights the candles, you sit at your counting table despite the pain. The ledgers still need balancing. The accounts still need settling. Tomorrow's trade still needs planning. Your son watches from the doorway, learning the business as you once did. You see the ambition in his eyes, the hunger for success. You want to warn him, to tell him what this life really costs. But you don't, because this is what you are. This is what your family is. Merchants, caught between worlds, forever climbing, forever falling, forever counting the cost of survival in a world that wants to destroy you. The candle flickers, your eyes strain, your back aches, you keep working. What else can you do? The sun is setting. The market square empties as vendors pack up their stalls. You've survived another day. You begin the ritual of closing. Heavy wooden shutters swing across your shop front, each one barred from the inside with iron brackets. The main door gets 3 separate locks. One is never enough. You check each window, each entrance, looking for weaknesses a thief might exploit. Only then do you turn to the strongbox. Today's earnings spread across your counting table in piles sorted by type. Silver pennies here, groats there, foreign coins that need to be evaluated separately. A gold noble, rare and precious. Copper farthings barely worth the metal they're struck from. You count, recount, count again. It's not paranoia. Counterfeit coins are common, and clipped coins with shaved edges pass through every merchant's hands. Each piece must be weighed, tested, verified. 43 silver pennies, 12 groats, 1 gold noble, 17 farthings. Now, subtract expenses. The market stall fee, 4 pennies. Payment to your apprentice, 2 pennies. The toll you paid to Lord William's men, 6 pennies. The bribes, administrative fees. To the market inspector, 3 pennies. Raw materials purchased, 20 pennies. You do the arithmetic in your head because paper is expensive, and some calculations are better left unrecorded. Today's profit, approximately 21 pennies. Not bad, not great. Enough to keep going. But tomorrow, the rent is due. The day after, the guild fees. Next week, taxes. The Venetian merchant expects payment for last month's shipment. The debt spiral continues, and you're just barely staying ahead of it. You make entries in your ledger. You're literate, thank God, unlike many in your profession who must rely on memory and tally sticks. Who owes you? Who you owe? What's expected? What's overdue? The numbers swim before your tired eyes. Are you ahead or behind? That's the question that haunts every merchant. On paper, you're wealthy. Your inventory is worth hundreds of marks. But wealth you can't convert to coin might as well not exist. You close the ledger. Tomorrow's problems are already forming in your mind. The walk home is short but vigilant. Hand near your knife. Eyes scanning the darkening streets. The 17 pennies in your purse are enough to kill for. Home, finally. Your wife has prepared supper. The apprentices and servants gather around the table. This meal is better than breakfast. You can afford to eat well at night. Fresh bread, still warm. A thick pottage of peas and onions. Roasted capon, a luxury. But you've had a decent week. Ale for everyone, wine for you and your wife. For a few minutes, you allow yourself to relax. The food is good. Your family is healthy. The day is over. But the conversation inevitably turns to business. Your wife mentions the baker's widow needs credit for flour. Can you afford to extend it? Probably not, but refusing damages your reputation. Your son asks about tomorrow's shipment from Bruges. Will it arrive on time? You don't know. It should have been here already. Your apprentice remains quiet, eating quickly. He's learning that merchant meals aren't truly rest. They're just business meetings with food. Even this moment of domestic peace is contaminated by commerce. You can't stay home. There's a guild meeting tonight, mandatory attendance, or face a fine. You drag yourself back into the cold evening, joining other merchants in the guild hall. 2 hours of politics, disputes, and tedious bureaucracy. A debate over whether to allow a new mercer into the guild. Arguments about market stall assignments. Discussion of this year's guild feast funding. Your back aches. Your eyes burn. You vote on matters you barely care about because presence is what matters, not passion. Afterward, some merchants head to the tavern. You should join them. Networking is essential. Relationships are currency. But you're exhausted. You make an appearance, buy a round, exchange gossip about who's failing and who's succeeding, then excuse yourself. The walk home again. More vigilance, more fear. Back in your study, you can't sleep yet. Tomorrow's anxieties demand attention. Will the shipment arrive? If it doesn't, you can't fulfill your orders. If it arrives damaged, you're ruined. If it arrives and customs officials decide to inspect it, the bribes will eat your profit. Will customers pay what they owe? Probably not. Will new customers appear? Maybe. Will someone accuse you of fraud, or usury, or heresy? It's always possible. You review your plans, adjust your strategies, worry about variables you can't control. The candle burns lower, your eyelids grow heavy, but the calculations don't stop. Here's what they don't tell you about being a medieval merchant. Wealth doesn't mean happiness. You have more money than the peasants starving outside the city walls. You live in a real house with a tile roof. You eat meat regularly. Your children are educated. But you're not happy. How can you be? Every gain is temporary. Every success is vulnerable. One fire, one plague, one false accusation, one powerful enemy. Any of these can destroy everything you've built. You're trapped between ambition and terror. The ambition drives you to risk everything for profit. The terror reminds you that everything can be taken away. And here's the brutal statistical reality. Most merchants fail. For every merchant who builds a successful dynasty, 10 struggle their entire lives. 20 go bankrupt. 5 die in debt, their families destitute. The success stories are memorable precisely because they're rare. There's no American dream in medieval Europe, no belief that hard work and virtue guarantee success. You were likely born into a merchant family. Your father was a merchant, his father before him. This isn't a choice, it's inheritance. And your sons will inherit the same grinding anxiety. Social mobility is a myth. You might become wealthier, but you'll never be noble. You might gain influence, but never real power. You're forever caught in the middle, too wealthy to be pitied, not powerful enough to be safe. The world doesn't care about your success. The nobility sees you as a useful but contemptible source of luxury goods and loans. The church sees you as spiritually suspicious. The peasants see you as a parasite. You belong nowhere. You finally climb into bed. The mattress is stuffed with wool. Good wool, expensive wool. But the bedbugs don't care about quality. They bite regardless. The sheets are linen, finer than most can afford. But they're still scratchy by modern standards. Your wife sleeps beside you, already unconscious from exhaustion. Your children sleep in the next room. Servants and apprentices sleep in the attic. You lie in the darkness, and one thought circles endlessly. Did I survive today? Not, did I succeed? Not, did I profit? Just, did I survive? Because that's what merchant life is. Daily survival. Surviving the roads, the courts, the violence, the disease, the competition, the politics, the constant threat of ruin. Tomorrow, you'll wake before dawn and do it all again. The market stall, the negotiations, the anxiety, the calculations, the fear, the grind never stops. There are no vacations, no retirement, no escape. You work until you're physically incapable. Then you watch your children inherit the same burden. Medieval merchant life. More money than a peasant. Just as much misery. Different problems, but problems nonetheless. You've traded back-breaking labor for soul-crushing stress. You've exchanged physical poverty for spiritual exhaustion. As sleep finally claims you, you think, "At least I lived through another day. Tomorrow is another battle." So that's what it's like to be a medieval merchant. Every day, a struggle. Every success, temporary. Every night wondering if tomorrow brings disaster. If this has made you grateful for the modern world, for banking regulations, police forces, health insurance, bankruptcy protection, the ability to change careers, then you understand. We complain about our jobs, our commutes, our stress, but we're not one false accusation away from debtors' prison. We're not one plague outbreak away from watching half our city die. We're not trapped in a rigid social hierarchy that defines our worth by birth rather than merit. The medieval merchant survived in a world designed to destroy him. He built commerce and trade networks that would eventually transform Europe. But individually, he suffered. So tonight, as you lie in your comfortable bed, free of bedbugs, protected by locks and alarm systems, with medical care available and bankruptcy laws protecting you, remember the medieval merchant, still counting his coins by candlelight, still wondering if tomorrow brings ruin. But let's shift to another story from history, one of power, ambition, and transformation. So, we've survived the medieval world. Barely. We've endured the roads, the courts, the constant fear of ruin. We've counted coins by candlelight and wondered if tomorrow brings disaster. But survival has never been easy, no matter the century. Let's leap forward about 600 years, from medieval Europe to 1930s America, from merchant stalls to bread lines, from plague and bandits to economic collapse and desperation. You might think the modern world would be easier. Banks, laws, technology, surely civilization has progressed? Well, let's find out. Welcome to the Great Depression. You've just lost everything, and things are about to get much, much worse. This is why you wouldn't last a week during the Great Depression, and more.